Today on Keeping It Real.
And today we are talking about a very serious subject. We are talking about childhood sexual abuse.
You hear about kids that get abducted and they end up murdered, maybe raped, and so parents really focus on be aware of strangers.
People that are abused, children that are abused, carry the scars and the weight of those layers. I know you teach about layers, and until you deal with the pain, until you deal with the scars, until you confront really those areas and allow the Lord into those areas, you continue to carry.
Kristen Maddox overcame a 12-year addiction. Now she pulls others out knowing that some have escaped death for the last time. Shauna Butler understands the pain of sexual abuse. Now she uses her voice to unhush the little girls inside of women she counsels. This is Keeping It Real.
Good morning and welcome to Keeping It Real. I'm Kristen Maddox.
And I'm Shauna Butler.
And today we are talking about a very serious subject. We are talking about childhood sexual abuse. Shauna, did you know that 1 out of 4 girls and 1 out of 6 boys are sexually abused?
Yeah, and that's a big number. And there's a myth around childhood sexual abuse. You hear a lot of parents say stranger danger. They raise their kids to stay away from strangers. You hear about kids that get abducted and they end up murdered, maybe raped. And so parents really focus on be aware of strangers. But did you know that 8 out of 10 of the people that are abused by someone that they know? 8 out of 10.
Wow.
So it's either a neighbor, a brother, a sister, sometimes a mom, a pastor, a youth pastor. It's always somebody that's close to them.
Right.
So usually it's not a stranger.
Right.
There are some times that it is, but most of the time it's a close family friend.
Right, because only 2 out of 10 times then would it be a stranger.
Right.
The other 8 times out of 10, it's actually somebody that the person being abused knows.
Right.
And I know for us, one of the things that we do here on Keeping It Real is that we keep it real. And we share our own personal experiences with our viewers because we want you to know not only really what we've been through, but how it's affected us, how childhood sexual abuse affects children as adults. And then also how we came out of that, how we were able to be healed, because there is hope. And that's the whole reason why we do Keeping It Real, is to give people hope.
Exactly.
And so for both of us, Shauna, in both of our cases, we were abused by people that we knew.
Right. And, and that's why it's so hard for people to see it, because they say, well, I've talked to my daughter and I've talked to my son, and they would let me know if somebody tried to touch them. But we never want to put that somebody with someone that we know. We always think in our minds, if the school teacher, if the janitor, if it's always somebody else.
Right.
But we have to start looking within our own households, within the households of our relatives, within the households of our closest friends, our babysitters.
Right.
I mean, we can't fall asleep on this. It's happening so much.
Right.
I know here at the Door of Hope, we see young ladies that come in, and even adults that are still dealing with issues of childhood sexual abuse that is still affecting their lives today.
And it's usually somebody that they knew and somebody that they trusted, because an abuser will often build that trust.
Right.
They will almost test, I guess, if you will, that child to see how far they can go without that child actually saying anything. And then, there's so many tactics that the abuser will use to control that child, either through fear, through threats of hurting that child or their parent or somebody that they love, and in order to keep them quiet.
Right. They pretty much gain the trust of, because they're very strategic in how they operate. They gain the trust of that child's caregiver, whether it's mom, dad, sister, whoever that child is living with. They're going to gain the trust of that caregiver first, so that they can gain the trust of that child. And, it could start off with buying the child gifts or even treats if it's a little kid, and then from that, then they start to threaten them, you know. And so now they're touching, but they're also saying, if you tell, this is going to happen to you, or it's going to happen to mom or dad or their siblings. And so then they build this wall of, this child is now embarrassed and they're fearful. And they're also telling this child that if you tell, it's going to be your fault. People are going to blame you. So then that child grows up carrying that on them. And most of the time, because the child 8 out of 10 times knows their abuser, they already care for their abuser. They already love their abuser, because it may be an uncle like it was for me. You know, it may be a dad, it could be a brother. But most of the time, they already care about their abusers. And so they don't want anything to happen to their abusers, but they don't want anything, they want it to stop happening to them. It's complicated.
It is complicated. And I know that with me, you know, I was told that, you know, it would be, I would get in trouble. And so it instilled a fear that, you know, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to be in trouble, you know. And you know, when I was abused, it happened one time with my grandparents' neighbor, but I suppressed that memory for 15 years, Shauna, 15 years, that I buried it so far down. And you know, when it came out when I was doing some community service at a domestic violence shelter. And during that time, I had the opportunity to go through rape crisis counseling, to be a counselor on a hotline. And I started having flashbacks. And so I talked to one of the people that did the training, and I just started sharing the things that I was experiencing. And she helped me really to see and to come to terms with and confront the fact that the things that I was seeing and experiencing were flashbacks of things that had actually happened to me as a child that I had suppressed. And that's not uncommon either.
Exactly. Those wounds, those layers, that abuse does come back up at some point in your life. Something can trigger it. And you know, it was good that you were able to talk about it. I know with some younger children, and even kids that are disabled, that don't know how to communicate well enough to be able to tell someone. And that's why it's so important for us to keep an eye out, for us to be looking out for that, because there are some children that don't know how to use their voices, and some that are afraid. So we're going to talk more. We're going to go into commercial break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk more about looking at the signs and symptoms of childhood sexual abuse when we return.
Today, girls will die as a result of drug overdose, abuse that went too far, and even suicide. A Door of Hope provides free services to girls and women. If you or someone you know needs help, call us today.
I'm Pastor Philip Pimlott, and this is my wife Kelly, and we want to extend a special invitation for you to come and visit us at Heartsease Family Life Church. Heartsease is a safe place for you and your family, a place where life starts, love happens, and purpose is revealed.
Our church is located at 12112 Florida Boulevard, and our services are Sunday mornings at 9 and 11 and Wednesday evenings at 6:45.
For more information, check out our website, hflc.us. Welcome home.
Welcome back to Keeping It Real. You'll notice on the screen a phone number to Child Advocacy Services, and if you think that a child is being abused, we want you to have that number so that you can call and be a voice for that child. You know, children that experience sexual abuse will act out. And Shauna, what are some of the ways that a child may act out that's being abused?
Well, some of the ways they can start touching themselves inappropriately, or another child inappropriately. Another thing that you could notice them doing is playing with their baby dolls inappropriately, in an adult manner, in a sexual manner. Sometimes even withdrawing. You know, if the child was very talkative and playful before, and now all of a sudden they're withdrawing, or starting to be angry and lash out. Those are all signs that something's wrong. And so we need to pay attention to those signs.
Right. And I know on break, Shauna, we were talking about that, you know, before the child ends up in the emergency room.
Right. I think by the time, you know, a lot of times we say, well, we need to get the police involved, or we need to get the courts involved. But by the time they end up in court or the police is involved, an attack has already happened on that child. It's for us, the ones that are living within the household, we have to stop it there. The police is not there when the act is happening. The judge is not there when the act is happening. Once it gets there, it's too late. It has already happened. We have to stop it within our households. We have to be the eyes, the ears, and sometimes even the mouth for these children, for boys and girls.
Right.
We have to do it.
Right. And listen to the children. Listen to what they're saying. Pay attention, because there are signs. Sometimes they may not always use their voice, but like you said, they may be acting out in ways that's saying, something's wrong.
Right.
And it's up to us to make that call. It's up to us to be their voice. It's up to us to protect them, because they're children.
Right. And we have a friend, and she was on the show before. Her name is Linnell Levy Melanson, and she has this amazing book, and it's called Toodles the Turtle Tells the Truth. And I think it's in Books A Million, is it? I think it's on Amazon, and you all can call A Door of Hope, because we can tell you how to get it if you need it. But it's an amazing book about a turtle that was abused and had this secret. And so if you're suspecting a child to be abused and you don't know how to talk to that child, get this book and read this book to that child. And I'm telling you, they're going to open up, because this is a really good book, and it helped a child. She actually wrote it, and it did help a young lady to be able to open up about the abuse that was going on with her. And I know in commercial break, Kristen, you mentioned this young lady that had wrote this letter. Could you share with our viewers about that?
Someone had shared with me about a young lady that had been abused, and she had been praying and asking God to make it stop. And she wrote a letter to Jesus and put it in a Bible at her school. And the letter was found, and there were so many details in that letter about her abuse, that when the letter was investigated, that every detail, down to where the abuse happened, down to where the pornographic magazines were hid, down to the details of the abuser, tattoos and different things that were so specific that the police were actually able to make an arrest.
Wow. Yeah. That's good. She used her voice just in a different way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And God heard her cry.
God heard her cry.
And He stopped the abuse.
He stopped the abuse. Exactly. And that's what has to happen. Sometimes the kids won't use their voice, but sometimes they'll write it.
Yeah.
And so, and when they do, we have to believe them. I always say, if any kid comes to me and tells me that they're being abused, I'm going to believe what they say until I find out differently. We have to believe them. We have to. They want to have a voice, then hear what they're saying and believe them and do whatever it takes to help that child.
And that's so true, Shauna. You said something so powerful just now. You said sometimes they use their voice in a different way. And so what are they coloring? What are they drawing? That could be a way that they are trying to express and use their voice.
Definitely. I think about the different ways of childhood sexual abuse. Sometimes it's touching, but then sometimes it's not touching, and it's still abuse.
Right.
Abuse can be in the form of an adult touching a child or a child touching a child. It could be touching in a private area. The non-touching child abuse is when you're showing a child pornography.
Right.
Taking inappropriate pictures of that child. Allowing that child to be in the same room when you're being intimate with another person, allowing them to hear what's going on. All a form of abuse. That's non-touching abuse, but it's still child abuse. There are people that go on the internet. The internet is really bad. And so there are people that go online and they look at photographs of children. And do you know that if you're looking at these photographs, it's a crime. So once you log on and you start looking at photographs of children, and you get caught doing that, that is a crime. It's a crime, because you're actually being involved in childhood sexual abuse. You're actually being involved in it at that time.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Shauna, one of the things that I do want to mention, especially for young men that are carrying a secret, that are carrying this burden, a lot of times, especially if a male has been abused by a female, they carry that and they try to kind of brush it under the rug, if you will, or chalk it up to, well, it was a woman and I, you know, and they downplay it. But honestly, you know, I think about somebody who told me that they were abused at the age of 9 by a female, and that, well, you know, it was just intercourse. It was my first time, you know, but honestly, I mean, if you have a 9-year-old, would you want your 9-year-old to be having intercourse with their babysitter at the age of 9? No, that's abuse.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
abuse.
And you know, the adult is the one that's responsible. And I'm going to go back to when I was talking about watching the signs of a child, the signs and symptoms of that child being abused. When you notice, and if you notice those signs, we also have to watch now that that child does not become an abuser, because it's so easy for them to fall into that role of touching other children, because this is what it's a learned behavior. And so we need to get them the help that they need. It's time for us to stop covering up, because we don't want people to know what's going on in the family, and these children are being hurt. So we need to do whatever it takes to get them healed.
Yes.
So we'll talk a little bit more about childhood sexual abuse when we return.
Today, girls will die as a result of drug overdose, abuse that went too far, and even suicide. A Door of Hope provides free services to girls and women. If you or someone you know needs help, call us today.
My name is Tamara Evans, and I'm the proud owner of Tamara Cleans, a locally owned and operated residential and commercial cleaning company, where we specialize in custom cleans for your home or office. We cover Ascension, East Baton Rouge, and Livingston Parish. Call for your free quote today, and always remember, don't stress, let Tamara clean the mess.
Welcome back to Keeping It Real. On the screen, you see a number to Child Advocacy Services. If you suspect child abuse, call them. Call them, because it really could save a child's life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it can. I know during commercial break you were talking about the difference between guilt and shame. Can you share that with our viewers?
Guilt is saying, look what I did, feeling guilty about something that you did. But shame is saying there's something wrong with who I am. There's something wrong with me. And I know personally that I carried shame for a very long time. And it didn't matter, you know, I always try to be perfect, it felt like, you know, trying to be perfect and always feeling like there was something wrong with me. No matter how hard I tried, I could be in a room full of people, but I would always feel like I was different than everybody else.
For me, I never felt like I was good enough. No matter what I did, I just wasn't good enough. But I also felt like, because the abuse started at age 2, all I knew was sexual abuse. And I thank God that I never abused anybody sexually. However, because all I knew was that, then that's what I thought love was. And so I found myself giving myself away when I should not have been, because I thought this is what you're supposed to do for the other person to be happy. And so, but then in the meantime, I still felt like I was worthless, because I felt like that's all I was worth. That's all I was there for, was to make the other person happy. But I wasn't happy. I was sad. I was shamed. I was embarrassed. I felt guilt. I felt shame. I just, you know, any words that you could think of that would cut you down, that's how I felt.
And you know, that's so true as far as what you said about, you know, for a person that's been abused, to connect sex and love, you know, that's all you know.
Right.
So that equals love.
Right.
You know, but then you're left feeling empty.
Right.
You're left feeling
Empty. And you don't know how to differentiate between the two, because that's all you've ever known.
Yeah.
And it really, it goes into your marriage. It goes into your relationships. You can even be confused about your sexuality, because I know there are many, you know, women and men, but I have friends that are that are men that have came and talked to me about their sexuality, that they were very confused because they were abused by a woman when they were little boys, and it was made to put on girl panties, and they put lipstick on his mouth and made him do things to her that a child should not have been doing. So you have a young boy that's performing things on a woman in a woman's underwears with lipstick on. How confusing is that to a child?
Yeah.
And so then they grow up saying, who am I? My body looks like a boy,
Yeah.
but what Auntie dressed me in was a girl, and I'm confused.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that's a lot. I mean, people that are abused, children that are abused, carry the scars and the weight of those layers. I know you teach about layers, and until you deal with the pain, until you deal with the scars, until you confront really those areas and allow the Lord into those areas. You continue to carry them, and like you said, even sometimes we think, well, why do I keep dating people that are abusive? Why do I keep staying? Why can't I pick somebody who is not abusive? And part of that is because that it's never been dealt with.
Right. And you don't even know how to not pick somebody.
Right.
That's not, because that's all you know.
That's normal.
It's the norm. It's the norm. I want to mention our seminars. I know our next seminar is going to be on sexual abuse and abortion, and that's going to be in October the 17th. And I don't know if we have it online yet, but we're going to be posting it on A Door of Hope's website, and it'll be on Facebook too. But that is something good for anybody that's dealing with childhood sexual abuse. Please sign up for the seminar. Follow us on Facebook. We're going to post it on there. It'll be in October the 17th. You need to be there because it's about ministering to somebody that has been through childhood sexual abuse. And so you're going to I know the last seminar, we had a lot of people that got healed themselves, even though they were coming to get information about it. I also want to talk to our audience about how to protect children from sexual abuse. So I just have some things down here. We need to avoid the danger stranger thing.
Right.
We just need to avoid that altogether. When it comes to sexual abuse, avoid. If you're talking about the child walking to school, that's fine to use avoid stranger danger.
Right.
But when we're talking about sexual abuse, don't think of it as a stranger. We need to think of it as someone close to us, someone that we know. We need to teach children that it's okay to say no when it comes to their body parts. If they don't want to be touched, then it's okay to say no.
That's right.
Whether it's a good touch or a bad touch. If a child doesn't want to be hugged, it's okay to politely say, I don't want to hug you. Teach them that they have control of their bodies.
That's right.
And if something doesn't feel right, it's not right. It's okay to say no. Another thing we need to educate our children on is secrets.
Yeah.
There are good secrets and bad secrets. And good secrets, you don't keep long. Good secrets is, Kristen bought, my birthday was just 2 days ago, and Kristen bought me a birthday gift, and she's been having it, she said, for almost 6 months, I think. And so if she would have told somebody, then that's a good secret. But she had it for a while. Good secrets, you usually don't have to keep it that long. But a bad secret, it's usually they say, don't ever tell. So we need to educate our children on secrets. If somebody say, you cannot tell this, the child needs to tell.
Yes. Yes, and they need to know that you're a safe place
Right.
that they can tell.
Right.
And I want to go back to the seminars and just make sure that you understand that these seminars are for everyone.
Women and men.
Everyone. If you want to learn more about how to minister to somebody that is dealing with childhood sexual abuse, if you're a pastor, a women's ministry leader, a youth pastor, you need to be at these seminars because basically what you're getting is about a combined total of about 50 years of experience, not only of testimonies of the trainers that have come out of this, but even with working with people that have are still even coming out of it. And, even at A Door of Hope, we have women that are in their 70s. I think we even had one that was over 80 that came in and had never shared her story and was able to do that for the first time. And it's so important. Your story is important. You may be at a place in your life today where you've been carrying a secret for a long time and you're ready. You're ready to tell your story, you're ready to put a voice to your pain, and you're ready to talk about it. Shauna and I are both at A Door of Hope. We do counseling there, and there are other trained counselors as well. But we just want to let you know that we are here for you when you're ready to share your story. The number's on the screen. You can come to A Door of Hope. All of our services are free and confidential, and you can call us today. We would love to sit down with you.
Another thing is that if you want to sponsor one of our seminars, it's not just on sexual abuse or abortion, it's also on domestic violence, it's on rape awareness. We're going to start a seminar on suicide awareness. So if you or your church wants to sponsor a seminar, get in touch with A Door of Hope Ministries, and we would love to come out to wherever you are and, do our seminars there.
Absolutely. If you have a question, we would love for you to send your questions to info@adoreofhopela.com, and we'll be addressing and answering some of your questions here on the show. So stay tuned in. Thank you for tuning in today with Shauna and I here on Keeping It Real. Until next time.
Stay safe.
Do you have a story? Send your personal story to info@adoreofhopela.com for a chance to be selected as a guest on the morning talk show, Keeping It Real.
Thank you to our sponsors. If you'd like to help sponsor the show Keeping It Real, please call 225-665-4673. That's 225-665-4673. If you'd like to help sponsor the show Keeping It Real, please call 225-665-4673. That's 225-665-4673.